have a cell phone, I'd ask that you either turn that off or put it on silent. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and the flag is right here. So those of you who can stand and want to, please stand and recite the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. Are there any announcements that need to be made regarding the agenda? Okay. And then at this time, anyone here that plans to provide testimony, whether you're a respondent or a witness, staff, if you'll please stand and raise your right hand. Do you all swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Amen. Thank you. And the first case that we have for today is case number 21-50024. The property owner is listed as Forest Park Owners Association. Is anyone here on behalf of Forest Park Owners Association? Okay. If you don't mind, there's a seat right up here. Whoever's here for the representative for Forest Park. If you want to, we only have 2 seats, but if you'll come up here, and this will hold true for any other respondents, and then later we have a microphone there. As best you can come up to the podium, or if you want to sit there, just make sure your mic's on. We do try to record these hearings. And then at this time, what we normally do with these cases, this is for everyone else, we let staff present. The respondent will then be allowed to present any additional testimony or evidence, and then based on that, I'll try to make a ruling for today. All right. So as I said, this is the case number 21-50024. Who's here on behalf of the county?
Yeah. Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Walden County Code Compliance Officer Drew Galloway, and for the record, I'm submitting my final summary report, presentation, and testimony in reference to case number 21-50024. I can't see the screen. This property is in an unincorporated area of Walden County and subject to Land Development Code. The property address is subject property parcel number 192S2033200 00000A0 in Walden County. And the property owner is Forest Park Owners Association. The violations cited on slide 2, 1.1306, post-development order and post-permit changes. Slide number 3 shows that the initial inspection that I conducted on 4/9/2021 that revealed excessive accumulation of stormwater filling the swales and roadway of the subdivision. Now, a footnote on this was a case that originated from one homeowner filing a complaint against the next door neighbor, and that person filing a complaint against the next door neighbor, till we had about 6 or 8 individuals filing complaints about the next door neighbors. The problem really presented itself that the swales, and on that final report that with the green heading on it right there, back a few pages you will see a diagram. I have a larger diagram of that if you'd like to look at it. It's in the upper left-hand corner. There's a page from the original development order that includes the entrance to the subdivision and 25 feet either side of the road, which encompasses the swales between the homes. And part of the stormwater relief design is those swales are to exist to hold a certain amount of water and then spill over until it gets to the exit drains that go out to the retention pond. And the next slide, slide 4, is the day I was out there when it was raining like it no tomorrow. This is the main outlet that goes out to the retention pond, and it was just completely full and out into the road. In other words, there's no water transferring from the residence areas down the street to the 2 exit points on the south side of the road that spill over under the road into this one and goes out to the retention pond. This one also accumulates all the water on the north side of the road. Next slide is number 5. That's the retention pond. And the retention pond was completely full, and I think Miss Andrea Ward can explain more about the process of the retention pond. It's supposed to spill over into a wetland, which is the treed area behind that. This is a bubble, what they call a bubble up system. Right there, the exit pipe was, and the water's supposed to come up, spill over, and run out into the retention pond. All right, the next slide is one of the pictures that I took this morning. It was raining, but it wasn't as hard as it was when I made the other inspection. But that on the other picture, that area right there was completely covered with water. All right, one more slide. That's going into the subdivision. There's not water standing in the road like there was to begin with. During the course of changing the complaints from each individual homeowner, the discovery was made that in the development order, the homeowner association is responsible for maintaining the retention pond and maintaining the swales between the houses. Now, during part of the inspections out there, I did have, excuse me, Miss Andrea Ward went out also. She's stormwater engineer, planning and development department, and she can come and speak for what she discovered or saw out there.
And before you leave, Mr. Galloway, so the claim is what looks like a copy of the plat that was submitted to the county and approved as part of the development order, called for swales, and those swales are no longer there. And the claim is that the association is responsible for
Correct.
Maintenance of those things.
Correct. And it's over a period of time, people that plant sod in those swales or fill them up, or over time sediment gets in those swales and it fills them up, and the grass just keeps getting higher and higher. And that'll blockade the water from crossing the driveway at each residence and spilling over into the swale that goes on down the hill to the relief point.
Okay. And you said Ms. Ward's here?
Yes, sir.
All right. Ms. Ward? Were you sworn in earlier, Ms. Ward? All right. And
Andrea Ward with the Planning Department.
thank you, ma'am. What testimony do you have on this matter?
So I think this complaint stems from possible lack of maintenance. And I highly encourage the HOA to go out there and anytime they do maintenance to keep a historic record of it. Grading along the driveways seems to be lacking, so I'd recommend possible assessment of that. And I have a copy here of the stormwater maintenance plan I'd be happy to share with the HOA.
And what does that stormwater maintenance plan call for?
It outlines periodic maintenance for cleaning, sweeping of pavement areas, cleaning out grates, taking care of weed and growth and all of that within the retention area.
And has there been any discussions with any representatives of the HOA prior to this hearing today?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, not by you, but Mr. Galloway, you've had discussions?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
I spoke with the president of the HOA, Mr. Roger Klein, on several different occasions. I advised him initially that we were changing the complaints from individual residents to the homeowners association. And he has corresponded back and forth with me through the email or when I was out there personally that they've not been able to do anything other than clean out the grading system. I don't know how extensive the clean out was out to the retention area, but there's been nothing done to the retention area because of a lot of rain. Was initial inspection and all was done in April.
So going back to the alleged violation, the claim is it's a post-development order, post-permit change. The language says they modified, altered, or otherwise deviated from the terms or the conditions of the development order. Ms. Ward seems to say that it's the lack of maintenance.
Lack of maintenance on that.
But this says that they've either modified, altered, or otherwise deviated. So are we claiming there's a deviation from the maintenance that's required of the?
That could be interpreted that way, yes, sir. I'm just saying that the HOA holds responsibility for maintaining the swales and the retention pond. And they have failed to do that, and it's causing the neighborhood to flood more excessively now than it ever has been.
Well, and I understand that, and I think, there's potential remedies from the homeowners against the HOA if they are failing or they're negligent in maintaining those areas. What I'm trying to square is what is the county's position that they either modified, altered, or deviated from the terms or conditions of the development order or any permit issued?
Well, under the development order, the way the development order read and the way it was originally installed, they were to maintain it at those depths and at those levels and under those conditions, and they've not done so, so they've deviated from the original approved development order.
Okay, and that's what I'm trying to get to. So the depths and the swales, either we have swales missing or the depths of the swales aren't there, the height of the swales aren't there as originally approved.
Right. The development order spelled out how the depth, it was all engineered out, scaled out, how deep the swales were supposed to be in order to retain a certain amount of stormwater. And it would graduate down to where it was at the exit point going out to the retention pond, and that retention pond had to be under the specifics spelled out in the development order. Now, over time, and that has to be an annual thing that they ensure that retention pond is maintained at the depth that it was approved by and the swales being maintained. Some of the homeowners may have even come in and put something in the swales, fill dirt and put sod over it to level it out because they didn't understand that was part of the stormwater system. I don't know. But the swales are not functioning properly as they were when the development order was approved.
And I forgot to ask, Ms. Ward, have you been out there? And can you come back up for a second, please? So based on your inspection of the property and the stormwater system that was engineered, is there, based on what you've seen, either a change, modification, alteration, or deviation from the terms of the stormwater plan that was approved?
I would say so. The elevations along the driveway connections need to be reassessed. So the entire area conveys to one point and then it's released into retention areas. So sometimes lots are higher where they should be lower. I think a survey would probably be in order just to assess what's really going on.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. All right, Mr. Galloway, do you have any additional evidence to present? And I'll accept into evidence your staff report as well as the photographs and backup materials.
No, sir, I don't have any other evidence other than what's been presented.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, I don't know if both of you plan to speak or just one of you. Can you give me your names for the record, please?
Van Del Moro.
All right, Mr. Del Moro, are you a member of the HOA board, or who are
I
you?
am the vice president,
So you're vice president of the
HOA.
Forest Park Owners Association? Okay. Thank you, sir. And then you, sir?
Bain Powell.
And are you also a member, or?
I am not a member. I'm a homeowner.
Okay. All right, which one of you wants to start?
I could start.
Okay.
Just so you have a historical record of what we have done as an HOA association. Every year, for the past, must be 6 years or so, we have maintained the dry pond, have a contractor come in, mow and maintain both dry ponds. There's actually two dry ponds. This is the first year that it hasn't been maintained only because of the weather. We cannot get into the dry pond if it's wet. And as everybody knows, this has been the wettest summer that we've had in quite a few years. Once it does dry out, we would need probably about 2 weeks before the heavy equipment could get back in there to do their job. But the pond has been maintained over the years. In 2018, we hired a contractor to come in and completely clear out the pipe that runs across the road into the central drain out to the dry pond. And since then, it's been inspected, and that is completely clear. The way the system was set up, water should disappear within 72 hours, which it still does in spite of the growth in the dry pond. The issue of the swales, we contacted our HOA attorney, and we were told that it is the homeowner's responsibility to keep their swales correct. And it's only a certain number of houses that that affects. I myself, on my property, and this goes back a while, where the water was not draining, I hired a contractor to come in and adjust the swales at my expense. So according to our attorney, the swales maintenance is up to the homeowner. Because if you plant and your lawn is this high and cannot control that, the homeowner has to control that. And the homeowners were contacted and told so that it was their responsibility to maintain the swales. So as far as us doing anything that is different from the original plan, we have not done anything that would affect the drainage, except for the swales, and that's on one side of the street. All the other homeowners, that's the side that's affected is the south side. All the homeowners on the north side, their drains, everything drains down within 72 hours.
So the HOA's attorney has opined that the maintenance of the swales is each individual homeowner's responsibility. So none of those swales that we're talking about are in any common areas. They're on private property.
All private property.
Okay. And is there any enforcement that the HOA has done or attempted to do?
We have notified everybody, but nobody wants to do anything because they think that the HOA is responsible for it. And that's when we contacted the attorney to clarify that this was not common area, it was their lawns, and they have to maintain those swales.
Right. And is there any in your HOA documents, is there any enforcement mechanism that your attorneys advised you that the HOA can take? You know, like if someone's not cutting their grass, the HOA can fine the, you know, that person if they're not maintaining their yard.
Correct. We
So-
haven't gone that far yet, but it looks like we're going to have to do something like that in order to get it done.
Okay, so, but as we sit here today, nothing like that has occurred.
No, just inform them that it's their responsibility.
All right, thank you, sir.
You're
Uh,
welcome.
Is there anything else?
I guess one thing too is obviously we've had a extremely wet year to date. And we have noticed throughout the subdivision on the south side of the roadway, we have a lot of water that comes in from the state forest that runs between the houses and comes into our stormwater facilities and basically just overtakes it. And that's where I feel like a large majority of our problems are coming from. They get into the dry pond, and then I'm not entirely sure that the dry pond berm, where it is supposed to pop off into the wetlands, I'm not sure that that small pop-off elevation is there, and it is having to stage up and flow in a separate direction, where it then travels down the shoulder of another road and has to go through 4 18-inch driveway pipes, which ultimately just even further backs up the system.
Okay. Do you gentlemen, I know you got some paperwork there in front of, do you have anything that you want to put into the record before we close the evidence portion? I'm not saying you have to put anything in, I'm just asking.
I don't know if anything other than just the plans, but I'm sure everybody has the plans and an as-built survey of the subdivision that was performed in 2005 when the subdivision was completed.
I'd like to add also that Mr. Klein, who cannot be here because of business, has responded in a timely fashion to any correspondence as to that we stayed up to it and submitted a plan to maintain the dry pond, what we were going to do.
Okay.
And if I could, real quick, some other further clarification. I guess on the first letter that Mr. Galloway sent, he pointed to a corrective action of returning the dry pond to a 2.5-foot depth on the dry pond. According to the original plans that we have, our dry pond was only originally about 1.3 foot deep. And the as-builts, as grainy as they are in picture, they don't reflect a 2.5-foot depth on the dry pond.
Okay. But is, Mr. Galloway, is the assertion by the county what was approved was a 2.5-foot pond?
I
depth
have
in the
a,
pond?
responsibility of the HOA to include the right-of-way going into the subdivision. This is actually a Forest Park subdivision. It's rather small.
So,
real small on here in the picture, but this is the depth of the swales and the depths of the, what they're referring to as the dry pond areas.
and gentlemen, do you have a copy of this? This is the Forest Park Subdivision site plan.
We have the original plans here.
Okay, so I'm looking at page 7 of 17, or sheet 7 of 17. And Mr. Galloway, go ahead and state again what you were saying.
That about the responsibility of the HOA and the right-of-way going in, and the maintenance of that right-of-way includes the swales and the retention pond area, along with the, Kurt, can you flip back to that? Right there. This clearly shows that the flooding problem on this slide, on the initial inspection photograph, does not just pertain to the south side of the entrance and the road going into the subdivision. It includes both sides of the road. It was really full of water when I was out there during that storm.
And you heard their testimony that due to weather conditions, they've had some trouble with it. Did you want to enter this into evidence?
It's already in there in that final order, sir.
Okay. The
Final report, I'm sorry.
as far as the dry pond maintenance, that the weather has provided, I guess, lack of maintenance there, but it doesn't sound as though this is a dry pond issue as much as it is the swells and the grading issue of those
Correct.
swells.
And I spoke with Mr. Klein several times. When I initially spoke with Mr. Klein, he was very adamant about they had been maintaining the retention ponds by mowing the grass, but there's a lot more involved in maintaining those retention ponds than just mowing the grass. It fills up over time with sediment and debris and this and that, and they have to be maintained more than just reducing the height of the vegetation.
Ms. Ward, do you know what the county's plans call for? You heard the testimony. They said that the dry pond area, as they understood it, needed to only be about, what was that, Mr. Powell, one?
On that cross-section there on sheet 7, it's got a bottom of pond elevation of 5.7 with a top of burn.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Yeah, that's a little better. So that would have been what was actually approved? Okay. And can I have this to put into the record? All right. So Ms. Ward just handed me the stormwater maintenance plan and stormwater management plan for Forest Park subdivision, which I'll accept into evidence as county's exhibit B as a composite exhibit. And just to clarify, Ms. Ward, so the deviation from the stormwater maintenance and stormwater management plan is specifically, as you said earlier, the elevations along the driveway. That's your opinion?
That's my opinion, yeah.
All right, thank you, ma'am. All right, anything else, Mr. Delmare?
No.
Okay, or Mr. Powell?
No.
All right. What is staff's recommendation on this? Or what are you requesting from the staff?
My recommendation is that the respondent has 30 days to bring the property into compliance, or $150 per day fine to begin October the 22nd, 2021.
I'm sorry, say that last part again. Fine of how much to begin when?
$150 per day to begin October the 22nd, 2021.
May I?
Yes, sir.
I think that should basically be based on the weather. If we continue to have a wet dry pond, we cannot get equipment in there to do the job. So to set a certain date, I would expect that it would be based on weather permitting that we can get equipment in there and get a contractor in there.
Okay, and I understand that, and I would be sensitive to that. But I think, from what I've heard today, and from what, you know, the testimony has been, especially from, you know, Ms. Ward, is it appears as though the only thing that I can tell that's been deviated from, or, you know, the evidence that's been presented is the grading along the driveways, those types of areas that you said fall, based on your advice from legal counsel, is the homeowner situation. So, you know, it doesn't sound like any evidence has been presented that you've done anything to the ponds that I'm aware of, or that's come up. So, I mean, you know, I would still want you to, you know, maintain those ponds, obviously, but it sounds like this is an issue that is separate from the ponds in the sense that it's lack of maintenance on the grading, or it's two things: lack of maintenance, which again, I don't know that, you know, based on what's been presented, that's you know, a modification, alteration, or otherwise deviate from the terms and conditions. I mean, you are supposed to maintain it as part of the stormwater maintenance plan. So I guess that does fall into the pond issue. However, it sounds as though the deviations are along the driveway. So, but I am sensitive to that. I appreciate you bringing that up. Is there anything else before I close the evidence portion?
No, that should do
All
it.
right. Anything else from the county before I close the evidence portion? All right. At this time, I'm going to close the evidence portion of this hearing. Based on the evidence and testimony presented, I will find a violation has occurred of land development, Walton County Land Development Code 1.13.06, post-development order and post-permit changes, specifically that there appears to be a deviation from the maintenance of the stormwater plan, as well as a deviation or change into the I guess structure of the design of the plan. To Mr. Delmar's is it Delmar or Delmaro? To Mr. Delmaro's point, I am sensitive to the fact that, you know, weather does hamper the ability to maintain these I guess this infrastructure that's in that community. So I understand the county's request of 30 days. However, in order to allow for hopefully some drier weather, I'm going to give the community an additional 15, so 45 days to bring the property into compliance. And should the property not be brought into compliance within that time period, and I would say work with county staff, if, you know, reach out to them if there's, you know, if you're working on it and making progress. I don't know that, you know, they would be opposed to not beginning those fines. And if they do begin and you get that, there is an opportunity for you to come in and request a reduction. So, you know, we can address that at a future date. Madam Secretary, when would the fines begin if I give them 45 days? Okay, so you're actually going to get a little extra time. It's going to be till November 1st to bring the property into compliance. And I understand, and part of the reason I'm giving you additional time is I also understand the HOA's somewhat in a tight spot, having to deal with private property owners who may have made changes to their property, which has affected the community as a whole. So I would, you know, recommend that you get with your HOA attorney to see what, you know, what, I guess, buttons you can push and to maybe bring those property owners into compliance. And as I said earlier, should the property not be brought into compliance by on or before November 1st, a $150 per day fine shall be imposed. And I am signing that order now. And gentlemen, thank you for coming. That's the end of the case. All right. We're on to case number 21-50205. The property owner is Rushing Properties LLC, care of Sue Rushing, and the address is 800 Old Landfill Road in Defuniak Springs, Florida. Is anyone here on behalf of Rushing Properties LLC? Okay, if you don't mind coming up, whoever's here on behalf of, we only have 2 seats, but you know, whoever wants to speak, we can make room. All right. Mr. Galloway, I believe this is your case as well.
That's correct.
All right, go ahead and begin,
And
sir.
again, I'm Officer Drew Galloway, and for the record, I'm submitting my final summary report, presentation, and testimony in reference to case 21-50205. Had conversation with Rushing Properties LLC owner, Miss Sue Rushing. She advised me that she was not going to be able to be here to speak on behalf of the property that's listed in her name, because she had a property in Georgia that suffered storm damage from that hurricane. She's going up there to take care of that. Mr. Schofield here owns a piece of property adjacent to this parcel, and he has, according to Sue, paid for the second parcel also, but she's not going to change the deed until after this proceeding is taken care of. But on slide 1, this property is in an unincorporated area of Walton County and subject to Land Development Code. The property address is 800 Old Landfill Road in Defuniak Springs, and the property owner is Rushing Properties LLC. The violations cited on slide 2 are 7.0201, junk and litter and prohibited conditions. Slides 3 and 4 are the initial inspection of the property on 06/23/2021. It revealed a mobile home, an auxiliary structure, and several inoperable vehicles. Also, additional photographs appear on the final report that you have there with you, sir. On slide 3, back up one, Kurt. Yeah. On my initial inspection, there was a young lady that was more or less living in this car. She's been recently paroled and was allowed to stay in this car. Go to the next slide, sir. Back up 2 or 3. Do we get that auxiliary structure? That one. This auxiliary structure, this shed, and I'm not a surveyor, but according to the people that were staying in it, that shed is on the property line between Mr. Schofield's property and Miss Rushing's property. And the young man that was staying in here, he's got no running water. He's got an extension cord that plugs his refrigerator in out here. And that's the only electrical power that he's got. And data hearing, that structure you'll see on the right-hand side of the data hearing photograph, that structure is still there. Now, the young lady that was living in the car in the tent outside the structure, she's no longer there that I'm aware of, but I've run into 5 or 6 different people during my inspections out there that people that are staying on the property in the back there, which I don't have access to. Okay, Property owner did not bring the property into compliance with the allotted time. A notice of hearing was posted on the property on 8/20/21. Proper notice was given as prescribed by code. As of the last inspection on 9/15, which is today, this property remains in noncompliance. I asked the magistrate to find the property in violation.
All right. Anything else at this time, sir?
No, sir.
All right, I'll accept into evidence your presentation and the backup materials report. Mr. Schofield, what's your first name, sir? William? All right. Mr. William, or Mr. Schofield, rather, did I swear you in earlier? Were you here? Okay, if you don't mind, would you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay. Mr. Schofield, this is your opportunity to speak. I guess you're here on behalf of Ms. Rushing, is that correct? Yes. Hold on, ma'am. Just. Okay, one at a time, just so we can keep it clear in my mind as well. So you are in the process. You've already paid for the property, and you're just now in the process of trying to clean that property up, even though Miss Rushing Properties LLC hasn't transferred ownership over to you. Okay. If you had to guesstimate, how long do you think it would take you to bring this property into compliance? Okay, that long? All right. Mr. Galloway, I'm sorry, is there anything else, Mr. Schofield? Okay. Is there any reason I need to hear from anybody else that you think, Mr. Schofield, any of your people? Okay. Mr. Galloway, what would be needed to bring the property into compliance? Obviously, we can't have people living in the shed.
Right.
But what else on here as far as the litter, debris, that type of stuff, the motor vehicles?
The inoperable motor vehicles will have to be taken off the property. The auxiliary structure that's out there that the people are living in, that's going to have to be taken off. I've talked to Mr. Schofield about his property next to this one, about getting him a dumpster out there because he probably qualifies for one of the county dumpsters, and I advised him I had a form that needed to be filled out and notarized to give the county the right of entry to place a dumpster out there, which he was agreeable to at that time, and I brought him the right of entry form. I've never received anything back from him, and I don't know. Now, I think it's his sister was talking to Miss Rushing about getting a dumpster out there, and I told them that if they needed another right of entry form, I could provide that to them. But I've heard nothing from either one of them.
Hey, I'm sorry. 1 second. Let them finish, and then I'll let you go ahead in a second.
I'm willing to work with them any way I can as far as the time, or if they need a dumpster to put some of that stuff in, I'm willing to give them the form to fill out, but I've got to have the form notarized and let me know when they've got it ready so I can give it to the landfill and explain to the landfill everything that's going on with the issue of the dumpster.
Do you have any comments, or as part of your recommendation, I'll go ahead and take that now, the fact that Mr. Schofield has said he's going to need anywhere from 60 to 90 days probably to bring that property in compliance.
I have no problem giving him 90 days, sir, if we can get some assurance that they're going to be working in that direction. I think the dumpster that we provide only lasts for a 30-day period at a time, and we have to re-up each time, but there is a lot of accumulation on those two parcels of land, and we're speaking about the one at 800 Old Landfill right now. And with no more visibility that I have in the back of the property, because I just can't walk out through the property, we're probably going to run into a lot more behind the mobile home and things like that. So I don't foresee anything being able to be cleared off before a 90-day period. So I'm good with the 90-day period if that's what it takes.
What type of fine would the county be asking for if it goes beyond, if I decide to do the 90 days?
Okay, if we go the 90 days and we don't get it brought into compliance after the 90 days, I would recommend $150 a day fine to begin at the expiration of the 90 days.
All right. Mr. Schofield, like I promised, you would have an opportunity to speak again if you want to go ahead.
I can understand it probably shouldn't be. All paid for through a company.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, does he need a permit or something for that, or what's the issue if he moves it? Hold on one second. Let me talk so we're not talking over each other. That to his point, I mean, if he moves the shed, I mean, does he necessarily have to take it off the property? I mean, what's the issue with having a shed?
The shed can be an auxiliary or a supplemental structure to a permanent residence.
Oh, okay. So there's no permanent residence?
Well,
on it?
it's out in the middle of the two parcels. It's
Okay.
not located on a particular parcel.
Okay, so
That's,
that's your plan, is ultimately to make it one parcel? Okay, well then
Yes,
that
sir.
might,
according to Ms. Russian, they have paid for the second, for which this one is. The next case is gonna be on the parcel that he owned when all this got started.
okay. Well,
Since that time, they've paid for both of them, so the removal of the shed can possibly be overlooked now.
okay, well, yeah, we'll deal with that. So, to your point, you know, should you combine the properties, it may become a non-issue. Do you have the form? Did you want to take advantage of the, I'm sorry, ma'am, just one second, okay? Okay. Well, that we'll be happy to try to get you one if we can to help expedite things. Anything else, sir, that you want to? All right. Thank you. Anything else from you, Mr. Galloway? All right. All right, at this time, I'll go ahead and close the evidence portion of this case. I'll make the following findings of fact and conclusions of law. Make a finding that the property located at 800 Old Landfill Road in Defuniak Springs, Florida, is in the unincorporated area of Walton County, Florida, and is subject to the Land Development Code. I will find that based on both the testimony, evidence, and the photographs that were presented today, that there is a violation of Walton County Land Development Code 7.02.01, which is accumulation of junk and litter. Based on the representations by Mr. Schofield and no objection by the county, I will give you 90 days to bring the property into compliance. Mr. Schofield, I will, instead of $150 per day, I will make it $100 per day. I don't know that that's going to make the biggest difference in the world. I would hope that, Mr. Schofield, you'll make a serious dent in this, and we won't even have to worry about that. But, Madam Clerk, when would the okay, so Mr. Schofield, I'm going to put in this order that you need to bring the property into compliance on or before December 14th. And if you need Mr. Galloway, you heard that Mr. Schofield needs another form, so if you could try to help him get that. Should you not bring the property into compliance, Mr. Schofield, within that period of time, there will be $100 per day fine imposed. Now I will note that the property is currently deeded in Rushing Properties, so those fines would accumulate against them if they haven't transferred it to you, but those will run with the property. So when it does get transferred to you, you should it not be brought into compliance. So, do you have any questions, Mr. Schofield, about my ruling? All right. I appreciate you guys showing up here. I'm going to go ahead and sign the order, and that'll end this case. Are they on the next one? Mr. Galloway, you said there was another case. Are they on the next case? Okay, great. Then y'all stay there if you would. That's going to be case number 21-5204, 786 Old Landfill Road, and William and Samantha Schofield are
Right.
the listed owners. Mr. Galloway, go ahead.
Once again, I'm Officer Drew Galloway, and for the record, I'm submitting my final summary report, presentation, and testimony in reference to case number 21-50204. This property is in an unincorporated area of Walden County and subject to Land Development Code. The property address is 786 Old Landfill Road, Defuniak Springs, and the property owner is William and Samantha Schofield. Violations cited on slide number 2 are 7.0201, 01A1, junk and debris and inoperable vehicles. On slide 3, the initial inspection of the property on 6/23/2021 revealed a mobile home, an RV, several inoperable vehicles, and a large amount of junk and debris. Also on this one, sir, the final report has a lot of additional photographs for reference. Slide 4 and 5, a reinspection conducted on 8/4/2021 revealed several inoperable vehicles and junk and debris. That continues well into the property. Only thing I can present to you is the superficial view of the property, because I can't go down into the property and show all of it. On the date of the hearing, a photo was taken this date that reveals minimal cleanup efforts underway. I put a notation in here that Sue Russian has been in contact with the Schofield sister, and all the property in question has been paid for and cleanup is underway. They have made some effort, but since we're going to join the two, since they bought the two properties, I feel like the recommendation for going forward with this one also can just go hand in hand with the one we just got through with, because they're joining the two properties. They own both properties now, and I think the assistance we can provide with the dumpster and the assistance he's got with friends and neighbors to clean it up and put it in the dumpster, I think that can all be rolled into one form there. We have two separate cade coasts because of two separate landowners, but now that the Schofields have purchased the property, you feel like we need to just merge that in the same
No,
one?
I don't feel comfortable doing that, because if, up until that property, you got two parcels, until they merge those properties, or, even if they were both owned by the same person or entity,
Okay.
I think it's a better course to deal with them separately, because there could be things done on one property that won't affect the other, and vice versa. So I'm comfortable keeping them
All right.
separate at this
We
point.
can do that.
All right. Is there anything else at this time?
No, sir, I believe that covers it. We pretty well talked about.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Schofield, and you're still under oath. Do you have any testimony that you want to put on this one as well? Understood. Yes, sir. Do you have a problem with 90 days like we did on the last one? Okay. Well, I mean, and as long as you're, I understand. weather, health, yeah, I get it, you know. Okay, but 90 days you think was a reasonable amount of time?
We've already started looking at it.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Anything else? All right. Mr. Galloway, I'm assuming the county wouldn't have, as you said earlier, any problems with the 90 days
No, sir.
property? And then, as far as a fine goes, what fine, if any, that would the county be seeking on this particular case?
Just the same as it was, $100 a day on the last one.
All right, thank you, sir. That would be 1214, Madam Clerk. Yes. Okay. All right, at this time, I'm going to close the evidence portion of the hearing. I'm going to make the following findings of fact and conclusions of law. I'll make a finding that the property located at 786 Old Landfill Road in Defuniak Springs, Florida, is in the unincorporated area of Walton County, Florida, and is subject to the Land Development Code. I will make a finding that the property in question is in violation of section 7.02.01 with the accumulation of junk and litter on the property. Based on the testimony and no objection by county staff, I'm going to provide 90 days for the property to be brought into compliance. And should the property not be brought into compliance within that 90-day period, a $100 per day fine shall be imposed on the property. And as I said earlier, Mr. Schofield, you know, good luck, and definitely work with the county as best you can. If there's a situation that, you know, you end up running over, there is a path where you can come in and ask for reduction in fines if fines are incurred, if you're not able to get those things done timely. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and sign the order today, and that's the end of. I guess that's the only cases they have, correct? Okay, gentlemen, y'all are done. Thank you. All right, Mr. Galloway, this is your case. Last one, maybe. 2150235. Property address is 145 Amaryllis Lane in Defuniak Springs, Florida, and the property owner is listed as Christopher Allen and Nikki Edwards. Is anybody here on behalf of the respondent or the property owners for this one? All right. Not seeing anybody. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Galloway.
All right, once again, I'm Officer Drew Galloway, and for the record, I'm submitting my final summary report, presentation, and testimony in reference to case number 21-50235. This property is in an unincorporated area of Walton County and subject to land development codes. Property address is 145 Amaryllis Lane, Defuniak Springs, and the property owner is Christopher and Nikki Edwards. The violations cited on slide 2 are 5.07.11 mobile home standards. Slides 3 and 4 are the initial inspections of the property conducted on 6/23/2021, revealed 2 mobile homes located on this parcel. Both mobile homes were unskirted and possibly not permitted. And again, additional photographs appear in the final report that you have there with you. Now, during the course of doing the inspections, this particular mobile home on the west side of the property was occupied by an individual that was renting the mobile home. And come to find out from the property owner, he has this one permitted, but it's not skirted and it's not according to code. Now, on the other one, that one, he does not have the permit for that, and his excuse for not having the permit to set that up is he needed a block layout in order to get the permit. Now, I took a step for him and calling the building department to find out what was involved in a block layout and who he needed to contact to get the block layout, to get the permit. The building department advised me that the people that set it up, pulled it out there and set it up on blocks and tied it down, can provide the block layout to get the permit. Mr. Edwards, I've talked with him several times on the phone, and I can't get him to give me a reasonable amount of time to be able to get the permit necessary to have the mobile home installed here. It's been installed without a permit. He says it's been inspected, but he cannot get the building permit because of not having a block layout. I don't know how much of that is accurate, but we've gone every step we can go to assist in getting the information that he needs to be able to secure the permit, and nothing's been done. And
Have you checked that and correct me if I'm wrong, so the white trailer that you showed earlier, that does, you've confirmed that does have a
this one does have a
permit and has
permit.
been inspected. However, it's not got the proper skirting
It's
and,
got to have the skirting and things like that.
and then
put
the
on.
gray trailer that you showed earlier has
Yes.
not received a permit, and it also doesn't have the skirting. Okay. All right. We'll go ahead, since there's nobody here on behalf of the property owners. What's the county's recommendation?
Recommendation is the respondent has 30 days to bring the property into compliance for $150 a day. Fine to begin October the 22nd, 2021.
All right. One last chance. Is there anyone here? Christopher Allen, Nikki Edwards, or a representative for them? This is for the property at 145 Amaryllis Lane. All right, not seeing anybody, I'll go ahead and close the evidence portion of the hearing. At this time, I'll make the following findings of fact, conclusions of law. I'll make a finding, excuse me, based on the testimony and evidence presented that 145 Amaryllis Lane, Defuniak Springs, Florida, is in the unincorporated area of Walton County, Florida, and is subject to the Walton County Land Development Code. That based on the evidence presented in the testimony, that there is a violation of 5.07.11 of the Walton County Land Development Code, and we'll find that the property must be brought into compliance within 30 days. That'll be on or before October 22nd. The property not be brought into compliance within the time provided. A $150 per day fine shall be imposed on the property. I'm signing that order now. Moving on, we're on case number 2150-256. The property owner listed as the estate of Albertine Waters. Their location of the property is Laverne Lane West in Defuniak Springs, Florida. And you're here for the estate, sir? Oh. And can I get your name for the record? Percy Wilson. All right. All right, Mr. Wilson, thank you for showing up. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Brett.
All right, good afternoon. For the record, my name is Officer Kurt Rose, Walton County Code Compliance. I'm submitting my final summary report, presentation, and testimony in reference to case number 21-50256. This property is located in the unincorporated area of Walton County and is subject to the Land Development Code. Property address is a unregistered parcel on LaFarve Lane in Defuniak Springs, 22433. And once again, the owner is the estate of Albertine Waters. Code language is shown on slide 2. On slide 3, we'll show you the photograph and evidence of the dilapidated structure. And the initial inspection showed a dilapidated mobile home with missing windows and doors on the property. The notice of violation was sent out certified mail to the property owner of record on 6/11/2021. 6/14, I spoke by phone with Mr. Percy Williams, who stated he was the owner of the property as being heir, and stated he did not have any means to remove the mobile home and requested a dumpster. I explained a dumpster would require a large space and to be placed on the property, and that would need to be done prior to issuing the dumpster. Also, a right of entry form needed to be completed. On 6/25/2011, I spoke with Mr. Williams again, and he stated he had filled out the right of entry form and would have the space cleaned out within the next week. Several inspections throughout the course of the next several weeks, and no progress had been made in creating a space for the dumpsters to be placed. The affidavit of entry for the dumpsters are only good for 30 days. On August 2nd, since no progress had been made, a notice of hearing was sent out certified mail. And as of the last inspection on 9/13, you can see that the mobile home remains on the property. And the next one, and this is an overview of the lot. You can see it's heavily wooded, and there's no place currently to place a dumpster, even if we had the ability to. So as of 9/13, the property remained non-compliant, and I asked that the magistrate find the property in violation.
Mr. Wilson, this is your opportunity to testify. Were you sworn in earlier, sir? Did I swear you in earlier? Okay, if you don't mind, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you, sir. Go ahead whenever you're ready. You heard the county's case. They said they tried to get a dumpster out there, but weren't able to because of the condition of the lot. Okay. Yes, sir. Right. Understood. Okay. Well, and I understand that, and I mean, probably like me, I intend to do a lot of stuff around the house, and then when it comes time to do it, it's still there waiting on me. But yeah, we obviously we want to try to get some movement on this. What do you think would be a reasonable amount of time for you to be given to get this property brought into compliance? Okay. Well, and as you heard from Mr. Rose, those dumpsters, they can get, only last for 30 days, and then they got to get everything done again. So, and even if they bring one over there, it doesn't appear there's a place to put one right now. So you're gonna have to.
I got to get everything cleared off first.
Yeah. So you're thinking 2.5 months, 3 months? Okay. So if I gave you 90 days, you're telling me, you're testifying that you, under oath, that you'll bring that property into compliance? Okay. Anything else, sir? Okay. Ms. Rose, do you have anything else? And what's county's recommendation on this?
The county would recommend to only allow for 30 days to bring the property into compliance, or $100 a day. However, given the heat and the fact that he does it by himself, it's entirely up to you if you want to give him the full 90 days.
Is it $100 a day?
Correct.
All right. All right, anything else?
No, sir.
All right, anything else from you? Mr. Wilson? Okay, thank you, sir. All right, I'm going to close the evidence portion of this hearing at this time. Make the following findings of fact and conclusions of law. I'll make a finding that the subject property, Lot 8, Block 11, Oakwood Hills, Unit 3, off of LeVar Lane West, is found in the unincorporated area of Walton County, Florida, and is subject to the Land Development Code. I'll make a finding that the property is not in compliance with Section 7.02.03 of the Walton County Code due to there being located a dilapidated structure. Based on the testimony and evidence presented, and I am swayed by Mr. Wilson, so I am going to give Mr. Wilson the full 90 days because he did indicate to me that he feels confident that he will bring that property into compliance within that 90 days. So that's December 14th. That should give you, hopefully, the cool weather you're going to need and the amount of time that you'll need, Mr. Wilson, to bring the property into compliance. Should you not bring the property into compliance, there will be a $100 per day fine that will be issued beginning after December 14th. So I would recommend that you continue to work with county staff, especially if you need access to that dumpster. You know, try to find them a place to be able to put it. And are we going to be seeking any administrative fees on this? $98? Is that right? Or do we
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And I will impose $98 in administrative fees for the case. And I'm signing the order right now. Mr. Wilson, you'll get a copy of this. And that's the end of your case, sir. Thank you for showing up. All right, now we're on the case 19-007239. The property owner is listed as Derek Boussard, David Bergeron, and Tanya Lopez. The address is Nimrod Circle in Niceville, Florida. Anybody here? Oh, I see somebody's here. What's your name, ma'am? Okay. And were you sworn in earlier, Ms. Lopez?
Yes, sir, I was.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, Mr. Rose, go ahead.
All right. Good afternoon. For the record, my name is Kurt Rose, Walton County Code Compliance Officer. I'm submitting my final summary report, presentation, and testimony in reference to case number 19-007239. This property is located in an unincorporated area of Walton County, subject to Walton County Land Development Code. The property address is a vacant parcel located on Nimrod Circle. The property owners are Derek Broussard, David Bergeron, and Tanya Lopez. Slide 2. This is actually a non-compliance hearing, so on 3/24, the findings of fact and conclusion of law were issued with a compliance date of 6/24. On 6/25, the inspection found that the property remained in violation and affidavit of non-compliance was recorded. Last month, this case came before the board and we did issue an order imposing fine. However, I found out 2 days afterwards that the incorrect date was listed on Ms. Lopez's notice of hearing. So we brought them back to, again, this one I issued on 8/20, I issued her a notice of hearing for this hearing date.
Okay.
And as of the last inspection on 9/13/2021, the property does remain non-compliant.
All right.
As you can see through the photos as we go through it, these are the photos from the original case file. Next photo, Mike. Next photo. Photo. Next photo. Next photo. Next. And then the recent photos. Next. Next. One change that they have made is they have constructed a fence made out of metal to try to, at least in some form or fashion, hide the debris pile behind the metal and to try to, remedy the look of the place. And they have cleaned up a bit in the front. I'll However, behind and obviously throughout the rest of the area, there still remains quite a bit of junk and debris.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Ms. Lopez,
Yes.
do you have any comments or testimony, anything you want to provide, any updates?
Yes, sir, I do. I would like to know what he says that I'm not in compliance with as of yesterday or when he came out.
Okay, would you go back there? We've got junk and debris located at the rear of the property on the left-hand side. They're pulling out another load of junk. And there is still junk and debris behind the fence, however, we don't have access
That's not a
to it.
recent picture right there.
No, that went too far back. That was 6/13. You went too far.
That RV and that truck is not mine, and it's not on my property. That right there, that's not on my property. My property is located in the fence, the one parcel number.
Okay. So all of you are claiming at this point under oath that all the junk and debris inside the fence is removed?
No, I said that right there, the truck and that RV was
Okay.
not my property, it's on the outside of the fence.
Okay.
I am trying to remove, but like I told you before, I have had a hard time getting help to come out there and do it, but I have taken dumpster load after I'm sorry. We had a trailer, a dump trailer I borrowed a couple times that I can borrow a couple more times, but I'm doing it alone, and that is a large mess to clean up by yourself. I've since then have quit my job just to take care of this problem. So it's become first and foremost. And it has rained a lot, so, but I have been out there regardless, rain or not.
Okay. Anything else, Ms. Lopez?
No, not right this moment, no.
So it's still a work in progress? Is that a fair
Absolutely. It
assessment?
will be a work in progress for a while. My brothers both families have COVID, and they both recently are being, kept at the house, so they cannot help me right now.
Okay, well, and I mean, I guess the part of the issue is, this was brought up before that time period has passed and wish to bring the property into compliance. So this is a non-compliance hearing in that regard. I appreciate you, taking this seriously. I'm surprised you had to quit your job, but I mean, that just shows that you are taking it seriously if you're willing.
Yes, I am.
So, we do appreciate that. Mr. Rose, what's county's recommendation? I mean, it sounds to me like there's testimony from Ms. Lopez that some of the photographs don't accurately reflect the condition of the property, or that they may be photographs of other people's property. What's your rebuttal?
And that
to
may be possible. The question I would have is the material that's there, and in the past, we have discussed this material that's there, that's been back there down that right-of-way and down that street because of the previous code case with the right-of-way. Does that property belong to your family members? The one specifically with the junk and debris that shows on that photo?
The parcel
The
that.
camper.
The camper that's on the outside of the fence?
Yes.
That's not mine. The parcel number that y'all have on the violation is behind that fence.
Okay, so it's only behind the fence?
Yes.
Okay.
If that's the case, and that's the one we're gonna deal with, you guys will just need to investigate and put together a case on something that's not behind that fence. This photograph here,
So if you go, yeah, that was the last photograph taken in,
June,
correct, in June, showing the debris pile prior to when they erected the last panels of fence.
all right. What's staff's recommendation?
So we would recommend that the order imposing fine be put into place on the property. So that way it's in the amount of $5,600. It's 56 days at $100 a day per your final order. And then continuing in $100 a day with an administrative fee of $345. There are two options there before you. Option one, of course, is our recommendation. And then the second option, should you decide, is also to amend the final order if you wish to give additional time.
What was the original amount of time that we gave? Do you recall? Does it say on-
The original final order, I believe, is in the packet. Give me 1 second.
was-
Maybe not.
Here, I'll tell you when it was.
I believe the initial time was 6 months, 100 and,
I have a video of the front of the property if you'd like to see the video. On the date that we were supposed to come to court, I mean, the date that it was supposed to be finished by. So I took a video of the property in front, since we put the fence up, so that it's not an eyesore, because there's a large amount of debris that I'm trying to clean off that property.
Yeah.
And it's not just I mean, it's a lot of people in my family's junk is what it was, so we just smashed it all into one. They thought that was gonna be easier. Actually, it's harder for me. So to do that by myself is impossible in the amount of time. I'm just one person. I mean, I have children, but they have their own life, and my brothers are been sick for a while now.
Again, I was just questioning how much time.
I think it was 6 months, sir. I'm not
Yeah.
100% sure.
the initial time was 6 months from the original date.
Okay.
July, I think, was
Yeah, July 2nd. was
July
one-
12th actually was with my video, the day that was supposed to have it done by, and that's the day that I took the video.
All right. Thank you.
And I do would like to say that 2 times this past month, I mean, he when they brought me sent me the original paper and posted on my fence, it was August 8/28. I mean 8/20/20 is when he put the first date was, and he came out to the house, and I told him that the date was incorrect. So then he did it again for the following he said did it 8/20/21. And so it was a year ago that he
Yeah.
set it for court. So then I told him that the date was wrong, because it's already passed. So he did it for 8/20/21. Again, this is the second time, but it was a wrong date. It was supposed to be the 8/18. So that's 2 times of the same court date that was the wrong date. So I came to the annex on 8/20/21, and they had already had court 2 days prior to that.
Yeah, I understand. And I mean,
I know.
that stuff happens, and
You're
and
right.
it's unfortunate that you had to show up. And I mean, if we were here today and the idea was, hey, I got it cleaned up and I was,
Right.
whatever, I wouldn't ding you for that. That's not your fault. But I mean, I do have some concerns, because I do find in here that looks like the original order was issued in March with a compliance date of 6/24, and we're sitting here, mid-September, and the property still work. I mean, I appreciate you, and I understand everybody's got issues, especially when you have this type of.
And my job takes me out of town for weeks at a time. So
Right. I get it.
that's why I could not go to work till I could take care of this.
Understood. All right. Anything else? I'll go first with you, Ms. Lopez. Anything additional you want to add?
No, I think I'm.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Rose, anything else from you?
No, the only other thing we would add is that even if the order imposing fines and administrative lien isn't put into effect, once Ms. Lopez gets the property cleaned up, she always has the option to come in and ask for a reduction.
Okay. All right. Thank you both. At this time, I'm going to close the evidence portion of the hearing. I will accept into evidence the staff report and backup materials. I will note that I do appreciate that Ms. Lopez, and I understand, the issues you're having. That's a lot of debris to clean up. However, I am sensitive to the county's request. We're here at approximately 6 months down the road. I am going to go ahead with the county's recommendation and issue the order of noncompliance, with the understanding, as Mr. Rose indicated, that if and when you bring this property into compliance, you can come back and ask for a reduction in the fines and
So-
costs.
I have a question. What is not in compliance?
The,
Anything on the outside of the fence or what is it on the inside of the fence?
if there's still debris and junk on the property, then
On the inside of the fence?
Yeah, even if it can be, if it can be seen from the roadway.
Cannot be seen from the road.
Okay,
No,
well,
the code language reads that junk and debris on the property is not allowed, period. It's
right,
no up by
so
seen
even
by
if
the
you
roadway.
hide it.
Well, the problem was, he said that I guess my neighbors called, Mr. Bell, it's called and said whatever, and they came and removed 4 vehicles that was on my property, towed them to 331, cost me $2,000 to get get my vehicles back, and also they said that I had was trying to make, I don't know what they were saying, that, my mail stopped, my trash stopped. I had dumpsters out there, and then 3 days after we went to court last time, they come and removed the dumpster. Said that they couldn't give me any more dumpsters. So therefore, I'm having to truck it out of there, right? Well, I asked, Mr. Rose said he could get me another dumpster. I waited 3 weeks for him to tell me that he could not get me another dumpster. I had to email his boss because I kept calling, and I said, have Mr. Rose call me, please. This is Tanya Lopez. I'm just calling about the dumpster, because they were supposed to bring me another dumpster. Because if not, I have to drive it all the way to Defuniak, which is a lot of gas. And I have a flatbed truck. I'm just saying, I don't know what, he expects me to do in some certain time with no way to do it.
Well, again, I understand, it's a pretty large issue that you're dealing with. I mean, and, I know staff will attempt to help where they can, and, I don't know anything about the dumpster being taken off the property and not being able to get a dumpster. I mean, as you've heard, there's other people here.
I understand that
there's
completely.
a lot of people in the county that are trying to bring their properties into compliance, and that's what we're hoping for. I can
Well,
tell you that, it's not a situation where the county's looking to, make their budget off of your back because you can't bring your property into compliance in a time, in the time provided. But what I will say is, as Mr. Rose indicated, if you bring the property into compliance, you will have an opportunity. You can come back here, whether it's me or somebody else, and ask, hey, it took me a while. Here's how much the fines are. And this is what I did my best. It took me more time than I needed or what I'd hoped, I would need. I got this many fines. And I've seen these gentlemen come in and ask, hey, we'll go ahead and recommend it be reduced to 0. That doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be your case. But the previous time that an order was issued, you were provided 90 days, and we're now here at 6 months, and the property is still not brought into compliance. I get it, life gets in the way, you need help, people can't help you right then,
Oh, there's plenty of people said they would come help. They just never showed up.
I know, and I mean, I get it. I mean, and this shouldn't be taken as a way to, okay, well, I'll just throw my hands up and never do nothing. Nobody's going to come take your property tomorrow. Nobody's going to come and, start, garnishing your wages or anything like that.
I have no.
So, none of that's going to happen. But, I mean, we do need to try to get some finality to this one way or the other. And that's what we're trying to do here today.
Well, I'm trying to do it also, but it just seems like I'm not working fast enough. I mean, how fast do you expect a 50-year-old person to work? I mean, I'm doing the best I can. And it seems like it doesn't matter. So I put a fence up so that it's not an eyesore for everybody else. But
Right.
I'm steadily working on it every day. But it's still not good enough.
My advice is you continue to work on it every day as
Well, I
best
have to
you
go back to
can.
work.
No, as I said, as best you can. I mean, eventually, either the property needs to be brought into compliance or,
So what are you gonna do? Keep fining me $100 a day or whatever it is?
yeah,
till
the
I get
fine,
till I get it cleaned up?
yes, ma'am, the fines will continue to accumulate. But as I said, you have the opportunity to come back. If it's a month from now and you say, hey, here's photographs, I've done it, here's what it is. Fines have accumulated, then we will at that time have another hearing to determine what, if any, of the fines should be reduced. And as I've told you in the past, they've come months afterwards and said, look, took them longer than they wanted to. longer than we wanted to, but they got it done. It was a lot of work. They spent a lot of time, a lot of money, but they got it done. And we're here to say, hey, we appreciate you getting it done. We don't need the $5,000 from this property owner. We're just glad they got it done.
Right.
So that's what we're hoping here will happen in this case. So I've signed the order. That's my ruling. The case is closed at this point. All right, next case is 13-0000-0611. Why is this case number so long? Why is it so old? 13. This is property owner Shari Judkins. Location of the property is 139 Hollywood Road in Miramar Beach, Florida. This is a non-compliance hearing. Mr. Rose, whenever you're ready. And are you Miss Judkins? Sherry Judkins, okay.
This mic on?
Yes, ma'am. And were you sworn in earlier, Miss Judkins?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great, thank you. Mr. Rose, when you're ready.
All right, good afternoon. Once again, for the record, my name is Kurt Rose, Walton County Code Compliance, and I'm submitting my final summary report, presentation, and testimony in reference to case number 13-00000611. This property is located in the unincorporated area of Walton County and subject to the Land Development Code. The property address is 139 North Hollywood Road, Miramar Beach, Florida, 32550. Property owner is Sherry Judkins. Go ahead and go to slide 2. On March 20th of 2014, a hearing was held and a finding of fact and conclusion of law was issued with a compliance date of June 18th, 2014. On July 1st of 2014, an affidavit of noncompliance was recorded. On August 20th of this year, I spoke by phone with Ms. Judkins in regards to a lien search request that had come out on a property that she was trying to sell, and it flagged that there was a lien on the property because of this case. This case went back in 2014, was adjudicated, affidavit of noncompliance was issued. However, the property was never brought into compliance. Go ahead and go to the next picture. This is the original case photo. If you can see in the background of the photo, there's an A-frame wood structure. That's a shed that they had built on the property without permits. Go to the next photo. And then as of my current photo, you can see that the structure is still there. I checked with the building department. There had never been a building permit issued for the shed, which was required. All the documentation from the original case in 2013 is in the file, which one of the arguments back then was that it wasn't required because it was less than 400 square feet. However, there is an email in there from the building official, Billy Bearden, indicating that because of it being located in the southern wind zone in South Walton County, that it did require a building permit. Ultimately, I had a conversation with Ms. Judkins, explained the old case file, gave her copies of everything, and I gave her a notice of hearing to this hearing. She's going to have a request to release the property so that she can sell the property. However, the county's standpoint is that as of the last inspection on 9/13/2021, the property remains in non-compliance, and we asked that the magistrate would keep it that way as a property in violation.
Am I correct that the accumulated fine amount on this property is $264,000?
$264,600 and continues to accrue at $100 per day. That's in accordance with the final order that was issued on March 20th, 2014. That's 2,646 days at $100 a day.
Okay. So we have no evidence has been presented to you that would suggest that the property, that shed, has either been permitted or removed.
The shed has not been removed in accordance with the photograph, the most current photo. And as you can see, we're on this picture here, the red circle indicates where that shed is located on the back corner of the property. And this is a 2019 aerial photo as well. So it has remained in its current state the entire time, and there are no building permits currently for that property.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Judkins, this is your opportunity whenever you're ready.
Yes, sir. First, I'd like to say that and when this code enforcement board, when this violation went before the code enforcement board, I believe it was 2014. And I had requested several continuances on the code enforcement board meeting because my husband was really, really sick, terminally ill. And after the third request, they proceeded with the hearing, and neither one of us were there, and found that the building that was built was in non-compliance. And I guess they put down there that was $100 a day. That the fines would start June 24th, 2014. So, again, my husband being terminally ill at the time, that was my priority. I had no idea that this lien was on my property, or I was being fined $100 a day. He did give me copies where that the letter was sent to me. And after going through some of my files, I did see that the letter was sent to me. But as far as reading into the letter, I was dealing with my husband of 33 years, who was almost on his deathbed. In fact, 2 months later, he passed. So all the paperwork, and I've had a lot of dealings with Walton County, not me and Mike. A lot of times I gave up and just walked away if I could. So I didn't know that this $100 a day fine was happening to me, because if I would have, I'd have done something about it. And I'm asking the court for mercy. It's got to make every kind of sense to you for anybody to think that they're being fined $100 a day and not do anything about it. And then this is the first that I've ever heard of this. When I went to sell one part, I've got two lots together. They're separated, and I had no idea this was happening until a title search was done, and it came back that I'm in debt to the county for $236,000 to have a lien on my property. So, I'm begging for you to remove the fines and release the liens and give me the chance from this day, as if I had received this letter this day. I haven't, this building's done nothing to hurt anybody in the county. It's sat there, it's been through any storm that's been through. Nothing's happened to it. If you can give me 90 days, I can bring the building into compliance by either getting an after-the-fact permit, asking for a variance, or completely tearing down the building, which is a good building. But those are the three things that I can and would do, and would have done back then if I'd have known about this. And I'm under oath, I'm telling you the truth. I would have never let this go like this. I'm asking for mercy on the court.
Okay.
Or from the court.
So the unpermitted structure is still there,
Yes, sir.
and and you're not denying that you received notice from the county of the original order when it was issued.
I'm not denying that, because when he showed me a copy, and like I've got a room full of files. We've been through the county on a lot of different issues. So yes, when I went back, I seen that I did get that, and he showed me it was, you know, it was a certified letter. What I'm telling you is my husband's health was more important at the time. It was within months. We were taking him in and out of the hospital day after day after day. It was just that bad. And if I can't sit here and honestly tell you that I seen that letter and read it and knew that I had to do something, because I didn't. Nothing was important to me at that time except for my husband and his life.
I get that. And however, you know, having said that, you know, we do have other responsibilities. And I mean, I'm not suggesting that you not make your husband a priority during that time, because I would do the same thing if it was my spouse or a family member. But I'm limited in what I can do as the magistrate. You know,
8 years.
8 years, then that's concerning as well.
But I
So-
did not realize that. I didn't realize, and I've never received anything
But
else
you knew that
from
there
the
were
county.
hearings scheduled to deal with that, because you said you requested at least 3 continuances before that board. So what did you think the board was going to hear?
Actually, I wasn't thinking.
Okay.
I wasn't thinking, and when Mike passed, I put everything into a room and never wanted to see, and I've never been to another county meeting before. I mean, we used to be at every county meeting over one thing after another, and it's not because my neighborhood's not still a mess. I just don't want to deal with it, and I don't see where it's gonna, you know, I don't think it's the intent of, you know, putting a fine on somebody, you know, to where they're gonna lose their property or something. Give me the chance now to go into compliance, now that I'm aware of the situation and that I have to comply. What's that gonna hurt anybody? I mean, one thing, you know, I noticed when I talked to Mr. Rose about, you know, going before the code enforcement meeting, he advised me that, you know, there's not a code enforcement board anymore. Well, when you look in the land development code, it still says there's a code enforcement board. It doesn't say anything about there's a magistrate before us. So even that would be a violation of the code if we really wanted to get picky, and I don't. I'm just asking for mercy. I just ask that you please allow me to take care of what I now realize is a non-conforming building.
There was an amendment to the code that the county commissioners approved that, in essence, says anywhere you see the words code enforcement board, they can be replaced with special magistrates. All the powers that the code enforcement board has, I would have, basically. Otherwise, I should be up here, you know, to
I
your
understand
point.
that, and I'm not
So,
trying to be a
I mean,
smart aleck. I'm just trying to tell you what the
Yeah,
book
I
says when you
understand.
pull it
And
up.
I'm just explaining to you that, you know, that's why I'm sitting here. So, so you don't want to spend it or provide the county any fines. You don't believe any fines should be imposed against you at all.
Now, the cost for the board, I can see that, but I'm asking you, please, take this fine away and give me the chance to bring this into compliance.
Anything else, ma'am?
Yeah, I'd also like to note that the affidavit of nonconformance, and I don't know exactly how you go about finding a lien in the clerk of courts, but the copy that I've got, it doesn't say there's a fine on here. I mean,
Sorry, what are you looking at now?
The affidavit of noncompliance. The affidavit of noncompliance doesn't show any dollar amount. It gives you a book and page, which refers to the original final order.
There is a final order that appears to have been filed in the Walton County Public Records, book number 2945, page number 1879,
Correct.
which does indicate
Here on the,
which one, where are you saying that it's marked on there for $100?
no, this goes to Walton County Book Records. So this is the Public Records of Walton County, book 2945, page 1887. That book and page refers back to the final order that you were in noncompliance. The final order is the one that has the information.
And then, you know, I don't know if it matters or not, but hey, just to bring it up and try to help myself at all, they didn't spell my name right neither, but, you know, I don't see where any of you guys would have a problem with giving me removing the fines, take the lien off, and give me 60 to 90 days to come into compliance, because I will, 100%.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Mr. Rose, you heard Ms. Judkins' testimony and request. What's staff's recommendation?
You have three options in front of you. One is to set the order imposing fine administrative lien at the current amount. One is a blank order imposing fine should you decide to lessen the fine. And then there is also one in front of you that staff believes in giving her the opportunity to correct. There is an amended final order where you can amend the original final order to allow an additional 90 days from today. However, I would amend it in such a way that should the property not come into compliance inside of that 90 days, that it retroactives back to the $264,000 fine. That will give her 90 days to clean up the property, remove the structure, get it permitted, whatever the case may be. And then once that is, an affidavit of compliance is issued, then that would release her lien.
All right, I understand you've provided three options, but as I understand it, staff's recommendation is to go with
Go ahead.
$264,600.
That's the one to remain in effect at that point. But there is also the other option to amend the final order if you so choose.
All right,
I would like to say one more thing as well before you make your decision. The lots are two different lots. There's the one that I live on, the one that building's on, and then the other one's a vacant lot. And that's the one I was selling when this came up, that I had a lien on the property, because I didn't know until they did a title search. If, I need at least that property, which is a vacant piece of property, that lien to be removed off that while I work on this, because I'm going to need the money from the sale of that to do whatever I'm going to do with this building. If I have to tear it, whether I have to tear it down, I don't know what I'm going to have to do if I can get an after the fact permit, but I'll do what I have to do to get it done. But I am asking that the lien be released on the vacant lot that has nothing to do with this as well. And like he said, if I don't come into compliance in your 90 days, then take it all back and throw that whole fine at me.
okay. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and close the evidence portion of this hearing. I'll take into evidence the staff report and the history as well. What I will say is I do find that the $264,600 fine is surprising, to say the least. However, I do disagree with you, Ms. Judkins. I don't believe that, you should be allowed to come in and wipe the slate clean, especially since it sounds as though you're selling this property and gonna benefit from it. But what I will say is I'm sensitive to your situation to some degree, that, you had other things going on. So what I'm going to do, and because I can tell you my understanding for most of these is, as we said earlier, the county's trying to get compliance more than anything. So what I'll do is I'm going to impose a fine in the amount of $4,000, and provide that you have to bring the property in compliance within 60 days. When you sell that property, you pay the county the $4,000 and then they can do a release of lien. And just so you know how I came up with that amount, that's $500 a year for 8 years. Okay, so you've been given a pretty significant reduction.
Are you releasing the lien on the blank?
No, you won't get the lien released until you pay that money.
Okay.
Is that going to be an order imposing fine administrative lien or an amended order?
Be an order imposing a fine and administrative lien. And if, so you're gonna need to pay the county, either at your closing or prior to, before you're gonna get a release of lien on any of that.
On the second lot?
Their property you're selling.
Okay.
And then the fact is on the other property, if it's not brought into compliance, then you're gonna be $100 a day is gonna be reimposed on that lot. So in the event you ever try to sell that lot or do anything. So, that's gonna be my ruling. Good luck to you, ma'am.
So the $100 a day is stopped unless I don't comply within 60 days, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your help.
What day is that? November 15th?
November, what'd you do?
That, Miss, I don't even know if this order's right. We're gonna have to make sure when we get done. Okay, just put a note by it. All right, I'm gonna take a 5-minute break. That way, if anybody needs to use the bathroom or anything, so we'll be back right at 4 p.m. Thank you. I don't know if I want to put them there. November 15th. Y'all need to get it at the closing, so that way to be paid prior. Leave it at that point. Okay. So get with Steve, because he'll tell you, they're gonna come in, the closing company will come in and ask you guys for. Oh, they've already have. Yeah, they'll ask you for a release and just say, what they'll ask you is what's the payoff? Say $4,000, here's a copy of the order. They'll say, great, we're gonna put it on this line. They've already taken it. Okay, good. Well, and that's how you end up getting paid on some of these. So just make sure I'm almost done, just to make sure if you run it by Steve, it'll need to change.
Mr. Hall, to the podium, please.
Did he tell you he was in like the south end of the county? He was down there, he texted me, he's like, where are we at? I'm like, up there in Freeport.
That last one.
Is that gonna be good enough for y'all to get paid at closing? Send them that.
Yeah, if I'm the title company,
Okay, that's what I was telling him, just make sure it's the way y'all need it to get paid. Don't take these, go ahead.
So what was the first area?
Oh, so that was obviously a David Fleet shipment type thing, and it was on a lot split, and it was what?
City was still kind of.
Yeah, and kind of letting them, yes, exactly. So, I want to say they claimed, because David, yeah, yeah. It went through Lewis, and then Lewis kicked it back, and then that's when Shipman appealed it.
That's the answer.
And we just kind of piggyback. We were like, look, we're not going to file anything. But that's whenever we started doing this whole, hey, county, you can't just. We good? Okay, great. All right, call the meeting back to order. Now we have case number 20-004491. The property owner is listed as Sheila Dunlap, and the location is 33 Las Robalas Grand Drive, Santa Rosa Beach, Florida. Is anybody here for Miss Dunlap? Nobody? All right. All right, whenever you're ready.
Yes, sir. For the record, Charles Cronin, Code Compliance Officer. I'm submitting my final report, proof of notification, and PowerPoint presentation as evidence. Slide 1, as we can see, case number is shown. You've read the address, property owner's name, parcel is shown. Slide 2 is the violations. 70201A1, junk and litter. 70202, overgrowth. Slide 3 was the first case. This was a case that was first investigated by another officer. My initial visit was this date, which the photographs were taken April 14th, 2021. And the investigation shows overgrowth, junk and debris throughout the parcel. Slide 4. Notice of hearing posted to the property at the courthouse annex. Slide 5. This is photograph taken yesterday, September 14th, 2021. Property remains in violation. There's been some cleanup. Inoperable automobiles are removed. They were brought back at one time, but they've been removed, and the property is for sale now. And a quick narrative. July 10th, 2020, a notice of violation was sent certified mail by the former officer. The USPS website indicated that it was delivered July 15th, 2020. My initial inspection was conducted on April 14th, 2021. April 23rd, 2021, property owner and myself discussed the violation. May 5th, 2021, property owner was reminded that the former officer allowed her 10 days to come into compliance. July 28th, 2021, a notice of hearing was sent certified mail. It was returned as undeliverable. All this is in the packet that I gave you. On August 22nd, 2021, a notice of hearing was posted to the property. August 24th, 2021, notice of hearing was posted at the courthouse annex.
Yeah, well, one last opportunity. Anybody here, or is Ms. Dunlap here? I don't see anybody. Go ahead and, if you would, Mr. Cronin, provide me what's county's recommendation on this?
Yeah. Property at 33 Las Robalas Grande Drive, Santa Rosa Beach, 32459, parcel number as was read. It is located within unincorporated area of Walton County and subject to the Walton County Code of Ordinances. Proper notice of hearing was given to the respondent. 70201A1 and 70202 does exist on the property at this time, and 15 days for the correction, and she must arrange for reinspection from the county to verify compliance, and if she fails to, $100 a day, and also $105 administrative fees, which the calculation is in the packet that I provided you also.
The, say again what the 105? admin fees?
105,
Okay.
yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. All right. And when was the last time that you spoke to Ms. Dunlap? I think
I've sent text and spoke with her several times. The one that's documented here was April 23rd that we discussed the violation, but there's been several times I've talked to her, and she's had various excuses, and of course the sickness, the pandemic has held her back, and she lives with her mother over in another part of in the west end of the county, and she does have the property for sale, and I think, finally that's what motivated her to put the property for sale was the notice of hearing.
All right. All right, thank you, sir. At this time, I'll close the evidence portion of the hearing and accepting the evidence, presentation and staff report and backup materials provided. Based on the testimony and evidence presented, I'll make the following findings of fact and conclusions of law. I'll find that the property located at 33 Roblas Grand Drive, Santa Rosa Beach, Florida, is located in the unincorporated area of Walton County and is subject to the Walton County Land Development Code. I'll make a finding that the property is in violation of section 7.02.01 and 7.02.02. The first one being junk and litter accumulation on the property, as well as the second one being overgrowth. Based on those findings of fact, I'm going to find that the property is not in compliance with the Land Development Code. What's 15 days?
If it was a recommendation, yes, sir.
All right. The property owner to be brought into compliance on or before September 30th. The property not be brought into compliance within the time provided. $100 per day fine shall be assessed against the property. There will also be an administrative fee totaling $105 as requested by staff. And I've signed that order, sir. All right, next is case number 2150-412. Property owner Seaside Community Development. Location is 81 Buds Lane, Santa Rosa Beach, Florida. And I see some representatives. Gentlemen, if you don't mind, go ahead and give me your names for the record, just so we have them.
My name is Jeremy Barnes, Barnes.
All right.
Dean Burgess with Emerald Coast Associates.
Both. All right, whenever you're ready, ma'am.
Code Compliance Officer Nicole Knudsen. For the record, I am submitting my final summary report, presentation, and testimony. Reference to case number CE-21-50412. Property is in an unincorporated area of Walton County and subject to Land Development Code Chapter 7. The property address is 81 Buds Lane, Santa Rosa Beach, Florida, 32459. The property owner is Seaside Community Development, and the violations cited are 7.0201A, junk and litter, and 7.0303, illicit discharge. Slide 2, code language is shown on the slide. Inspection of the property shows a large amount of junk and litter near the dumpsters. There was also litter behind the dumpsters. Beyond the retaining wall, the storm drains were also stopped up with sludge. Photo, the trash compactor was leaking discharge into the storm drain. I issued a notice of violation to the property owner via certified mail on 6/18/2021 and identified the violations and what was needed to bring the property into compliance and gave them 10 days to correct the violations. During the time that this case has been active, numerous emails were sent to Jeremy Barnes, the Director of Asset Protection for Seaside. Options were discussed and progress has been made, but the drain situation has been ongoing. Every time I've been out there, there's been an issue with the drain. The property owner did not bring the property into compliance within the allotted time. A notice of hearing was sent to the property owner via certified mail on 8/13/2021. Proper notice was given as prescribed by code. As of the last inspection on 9/11/2021, this property remains in non-compliance. The junk and litter has been picked up, but the drains are still stopped up, shown in the picture. I ask that the board magistrate find that the property is in violation.
All right. I'll go ahead and accept your report and the photographs and backup materials. Anything else at this time? Okay.
The main issue, like I said, is just the drain
So
situation. The trash has been taken care of.
Do we know what, have you been advised? I mean, I know they're here, but have you what's your understanding of what the
They
outstanding
were,
issue with the
they were
dry
working on it. However, just given the time frame, it started back in June of this year and it's already September. It hasn't been taken care of as of yet.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Barnes or Mr. Burgess? And both of you been sworn in earlier?
We have.
Thank you. Oh,
Um,
I'm sorry, 1 second. Did you have something else, sir? Okay, what's your name?
My name's Mike Yon. I'm operations manager for Southwalk Mosquito Control. There's been a
Last name?
Yon, Y-A-W-N. We started our investigation on this on 6/14 because we noticed a very high increase in mosquito activity around this area. And not only mosquito activity, but the vector kind. Over every week, twice a week, we collect mosquitoes from a trap that's right here at this site. And we have seen consistently mosquito vectors that vector diseases at over 70% at this site. This is very serious. This is Triple E West Nile that can be gave to humans. On 6/14, I talked to Pam Everett at Seaside General Manor and about the continued illicit discharge into the storm drains. She said she would get Jeffrey to clean the drains again, supposedly they already had, as well as do what was needed to correct. On 6/18, I met with Jeffrey, I'm going to try to pronounce his name, Furthery, Director of Maintenance for Seaside. He showed me the blueprints for the storm drains on Bud's Lane. He showed me where the blockage was and said he would continue to pump out this system as needed until the system was running with clean water. This system is a stormwater. It's not to get rid of anything. By the way, for the record, I am a certified stormwater operator, level 1, level 2, and inspector for the state of Florida. He also agreed to put in a sump in front of the discharge storm drain and would service it as needed. He also said that he would keep these pumped out until that sump was put in. As you can see, there's no sump there. Our concern at Mosquito Control is to stop these vector mosquitoes. This is, I believe there's a code for that. I think it's 9107 that mentions mosquito breeding, creating a mosquito breeding habitat. We put bacteria tablets into these drains that kills these mosquitoes, but as much bacteria is in there, they're not eating our bacteria, so they're living off of theirs. I would just ask that something be done to stop this from a public health issue is our concern.
What, if anything, does the mosquito control district have as far as enforcement?
We have absolutely none. We're actually trying to form a good relationship with code compliance where we can get some of this stuff taken care of. Our desire is no human cases.
Yeah. Well, I was just curious because what I have in front of me today and what they've been noticed on is just junk and litter and illicit discharge, but it does sound like the junk and litter has been resolved.
Yes.
But we are still dealing with illicit
Yes.
discharge.
Matter of fact, on my notes here, and I'll actually give this to you. All the agreements was me and Jeffrey have changed contact info, and I put overall it was a very positive meeting and the cleanup was well underway. However, this is the most important part. I understand cardboard boxes. Cardboard boxes does not kill humans.
Right. Did you say you want to put that in the record? Okay, thank you, sir. Have y'all seen this? Don't look at that, just real quick. If they've got any questions or want to speak to it, that's fine as well. Just so they know what's being put in. Anything else, Mr. Yon? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
are
Magistrate
y'all-
Dykes,
Yeah.
I'm discussing here with Jeremy the letter or the memo that's been put in front of us. He hasn't seen it. I don't know, does this look accurate, though?
Putting in a stump, but I do know about the meeting and
Okay. All right. Well, and gentlemen, whichever one of you wants to kind of take the lead, go ahead. But you've heard the testimony. You know, you've seen the photographs. What do you want to present today?
Well, I'd like to say that my name's Dean Burgess. I'm with Emerald Coast Associates. We've been Seaside's engineer for the past 20-plus years and done work out there for 30-plus years, basically since its inception in '84. So I'm very familiar with Seaside's operations, and particularly this site. We designed the engineering on this site. It does sound like the litter and debris has been addressed, and I would agree that it has. A few things that Seaside has agreed to do to assure that the litter and debris remains intact. One is a lot of what was coming out of the dumpster and being strewn about on the property was due to animal intrusion. Raccoons, bears from the state forest next door would get into the dumpster and drag things around. And they have erected a fence to attempt to keep the animals out. And a new compactor has been ordered by through Waste Management. This will have a door on the side, which the current compactor does not, basically to animal proof it and also to weatherproof it. The newer compactor hopefully will also have, there's evidently weep holes somewhere in the existing dumpster. Whenever it compacts, it squeezes out, for lack of a better term, the garbage juice. And it goes on the ground, goes into the adjacent drain. Additionally, the compactor will be removed. Currently, it is literally right in front of the storm drain. So the proximity of the dumpster is going to be moved to the north in an effort to give it some distance from the drain. In the event that anything does come out of the dumpster, it doesn't go right into the storm drain. I think specifically the compactor will address a lot of mosquito controls concerns with the quote-unquote garbage juice coming out. I would say, and I don't want to get on this topic too heavily, the illicit discharge typically is for industrial wastewaters and connections of sewer systems to stormwater systems that have to do with hazardous materials, chemicals, et cetera, that are being dumped directly into and willfully being dumped into storm drains. I want to assure the magistrate that that is not what's happened here. There certainly is no intent by Seaside for this to happen, and they're trying to take every measure to prevent it. It's actually an issue and concern with every commercial development. Every commercial development's got a dumpster. Every dumpster has rust holes in it and has the opportunity for this to happen. This being a compactor where there's pressure applied to it only makes it a little worse. So recognizing that, we're going to work with Waste Management to get a better dumpster and a new location for it. Is it my understanding that code enforcement believes that the junk and litter has been addressed and the only other concern is the storm drains? I would ask that the magistrate find that we are in compliance then. The storm drains actually are not clogged, and I don't believe they ever have been. There may have been sand and grit and dirt and garbage juice in the drains, but this is what's called a bubble-up system. And basically what that is a, should I approach to
Well,
show the
describe
drawing?
it first, and then
All right. It is a storm drain system with that does not operate based on gravity, where you have a pipe that flows into a storm drain system that has a mitered end section, or an open pipe that drains and goes empty. Areas where there's shallow groundwater and your pipe system is, the retention pond's only a foot deep, we've got 18-inch pipes. If we ran that pipe where we tried to daylight it through the side of the pond, it would be sticking up out of the ground. You wouldn't have enough cover over the pipe. So you put a drain inlet in the parking lot at this elevation, a drain inlet in the retention pond at this elevation, and the difference in head elevation pushes the water out into the pond. But the pipe underneath has water in it.
Right.
And that's a common system, especially in South Walton, where there's high water table and there's flat ground. So that system will always have water in it by design.
So the current photograph.
So
that we're
it's not a
seeing-
matter of it being plugged.
Right, so the current photograph, that doesn't give you any alarm, that's just
No.
likely that the pipe is full at that point as it's
Correct.
trying to.
And
Okay.
the water flows through difference in head elevation, not by gravity and flow through the pipe. So it will be full of water. It does not mean it's clogged. I went out there during a rain event and saw, it's flowing like it should. It's good that they did pump it out. There was a bit of sediment and things that needed to be cleaned out over the years, but it is flowing and it's operating properly.
Anything else?
No, sir.
I saw Mr. Yon raise his hand, if you want to come back up, sure.
The system works exactly like he said, but there's two issues I would like to readdress. One is that the illicit discharge, this is absolutely illicit discharge. You can't even put turbidity into natural waterways. If you look at the code for Florida, anytime you dewater, you have to have a bag to catch anything that would be turbid, and you can only put clean water into these systems. The way he says this works is exactly right. That's the reason we put the product we do to kill the larvae in there. The water holds, the mosquito lays their eggs. This bacteria, when they eat it, it kills the larvae. The problem is the bacteria from the compressed garbage is feeding the mosquitoes, and then they're not dying.
So, having said that, and I get your point, I understand. So I think we're all in agreement, the system works the way it should work. And that's why whenever he was telling me that, I kind of put two and two together in the sense that you said, hey, we know that's how it works, and that's why we put the product in there. His indication that they're going to move the compactor to an area not immediately adjacent to the drain, so it does, and have a new compactor, I would hope would resolve that discharge. I mean, would that?
That was my second point.
Okay.
My second point is this is a paved parking lot. These drains are the low points in that parking lot and roadway. So anywhere they put the compactor, if there is a discharge from the compactor, if it does not immediately run into it when it rains, it will. That is the issue. We have to stop the illicit discharge from going into the drain. That's why that me and Mr. Jeffrey talked about putting a sump in front of it. They actually make these sumps you can put in the ground that has absorbent material in them. You can service them like once a week, and that would stop that from going in. As it sits right now, the illicit discharge and the mosquito breeding that they're doing, we have to do something. We have to address it.
I understand it, and I mean, and that is concerning, if there's a health and safety issue like that you're testifying is occurring because of this. How much does one of those systems cost that you just described?
I have, for that, I would not know, because it would have to be engineered to, for volume and how often you serviced it.
They get a new compactor and move it to another area in this general area. Your concern is still the same, that it's gonna end
Where
up.
this drain's at, there is another drain. I have I've got the pictures of the plans. There's another drain above that, and there's one right by the coop site. Then the others go around behind the building, to where the DRA is, where it does bubble up. And he is exactly right. This works. As the water pushes down, it will push out in and bubble up into this DRA where it's designed to dissipate over a 72-hour period. But it's just for fresh rainwater, not for trash squeezings.
Trash,
Sort of better.
trash juice.
Squeezing juice.
Trash juice.
What- Whatever you want to call it, the compactor squeezings.
Understood.
It's,
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Mr. Burgess or either one of you, I guess. Mr. Barnes. I mean, Mr. Yon brings up some, sounds like valid concerns about the fact of the compactor. Have y'all figured that out yet?
I think the new compactor, I have big aspirations for it, but we have correspondence with Waste Management where they can bring out a new compactor that they seem to understand the problem that we're experiencing, and they think it will reduce, hopefully, or eliminate the problem that we're experiencing with, these compactors shouldn't leak. Evidently, we've got one that does, so they're gonna get another one.
Are you familiar with that system that he talked about with the sump? I mean, is that an option? I mean, I don't know what the
A
costs
sump
are.
may work. I've seen sumps, I've typically seen sumps and grease traps for sewage systems where the flow is considerably less than what you see with stormwater. Sewage flow is measured in gallons per minute. Stormwater flow is measured in cubic feet per minute. So I personally have not installed one of those. Sizing it may be a challenge just because of the flow that's involved in stormwater.
Well, and it doesn't seem like it's lost on anybody, the concern or the issues. So I would agree on the, at least in part, on the junk and litter portion. Anything else, Mr. Burgess or Mr. Barnes? Before we close the
Other than, I think the record shows, and we've got documentation here, as soon as the complaint was filed, Seaside started doing everything they could do to comply. They employed a company to come pump out the drains, remove the sediment, and start looking into the issue and resolving it.
Thank you, sir. Anything else from the Miss? How do you pronounce your name? Knudsen.
Like knife?
No, more often than I'll get it right. Ms. Knudsen, what else from the county as far as I heard you say earlier when Mr. Burgess asked, we're in agreement that the 7.02.01 of the junk and litter, that matter has been resolved in your opinion? Okay, so speaking to the 7.03.03 illicit discharge, anything additional on that, and then what's the county's recommendation?
I'd ask that you allow 30 days to bring it into compliance or $100 per day fine, as well as the administrative costs of $98.
All right. And then, Mr. Burgess, having heard that, or Mr. Barnes, either one of you, when is the new compactor going to be there? Do we have a delivery date?
Just going to ask him that.
Waste Management said 12 weeks. Yes, sir. We've been waiting on one for quite some time, and I have this letter. I can enter into evidence on monitoring our commitment to.
You want to hand me that, and then if you don't mind handing me that other thing Mr. John had given you, thank you. And I'll put both of those into the record. Thank you. Yeah, and I don't know, have y'all seen this? Do you want to see this? This is basically a letter dated September 14th of this year from Waste Management, signed by Gene and Cardiff, Waste Management account executive, saying they're working closely with the Seaside community, and they're adding a second self-contained compactor with a closed loading area to address fully enclosed system that will contain waste liquids while also eliminating pest wildlife access to trash. The compactor will be used for all wet waste, and cardboard will be, it looks like it'll be used in the other container maybe. Do you want to see this? Okay. I'll go ahead and accept Mr. Yawn's report or breakdown, summary, whatever you want to call it, into the record as county's Exhibit B, and then I'll take into the record respondents Exhibit 1, which will be the letter from dated September 14th, 2021 from Waste Management. Make sure the secretary gets that. So,
Want to include basically all of our correspondence?
yeah, if you want to put it in the record, that's fine.
And I have other paperwork in the
Yeah, that's fine.
packet that I gave you as well.
Let's stack her up. Okay, so this. All right, and this will be, yeah, and I think we have some of this as well in the counties, but we'll go ahead and take this and make this Respondents Exhibit 2 for the record. All right, having heard what Ms. Knutson had requested, does a respondent have anything additional to add? She's asking for 30 days, $100 a day fine, and $98 in administrative fees should I find a violation. And then now that you hear, Ms. Knutson, that it's going to be 12 weeks, do we have or I guess before we close it, do we have a current stopgap measure in place so Mr. Yawn's not having to report back to everybody that West Nile virus is spreading throughout South Walton and CISA? Yes, sir. Come up here for a second, if you don't mind, just so we can get you on the record.
They used a vacuum pump to clean the system the first time, and it was stopped up the first time, but after that, it's been working like it should. If they could use a vacuum truck,
When would they need to use that?
ideally would be 7 days, but 14 days would be okay, because mosquitoes can actually pop off in 4 days. But if they could just do something to keep this bacteria out of the water so that we can keep a handle on this, I would appreciate anything they can do towards that.
Thank you, sir. Do y'all have anything, Mr. Barnes or Mr. Burgess? Is that something that's possibly doable as a
They've pumped the
stopgap?
system 3 times already at $6,000 a pumping.
Oh, it's that much?
Yes, sir. The invoices and the reports for what was removed from the drainage system are also in that packet entered into evidence. They actually came to pump it the 3rd time this morning. Obviously, the rain would fill it right back up.
Has
so-
the compactor moved? Have y'all moved it from its current location so it's just not as close right now?
No, sir, we currently have not.
Is that something that can be done while the new compactor's on its way, or what?
It would be extremely difficult, seeing as the hydraulic system is bolted into the asphalt.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm seeing in here from Holes Environmental Services with the Tampa address, a bill of $6,158.63. That was for June 16th for personnel and equipment to clean storm drains. I guess what I'm trying to figure out is, you know, what as a group we might be able to do. I'm most concerned, obviously, about what Mr. Johns brought up about the health and safety issues and the mosquito problem. I was hoping that we might be able to find a way to, as I said, kind of put a stopgap measure in place to minimize or eliminate that till you get your new compactor on site, which sounds like maybe the answer to everybody's problems. Mr. Rose, you were raising your hand.
Yes, sir. I've built many subdivisions in my life, and we've had this issue before, and one of the things that we usually do to try to help that, just like with any other stormwater, when a construction's going on, you can use absorbent material down on the ground that can be cleaned up daily before a rainstorm, that kind of thing, and the absorbent material will catch it, stuff even as little as clay cat litter, that kind of stuff helps absorb a lot of that nasty stuff, and it's a cheaper alternative.
I mean, would you be able to, the Seaside Community Development, be willing to look at those alternatives to?
There's sorbent pads that can be put down, as well as,
Yeah, just something. I mean, like I said, Mr. Jan's nodding his head.
I think that's
vigorously back
reasonable,
there.
you know,
Yeah,
with the leaky compactor that we have, sure, we can use sorbent pads, and if we need to, pellet.
All right, anything else from the county? Anything else from the respondent? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and close the, evidence portion. I've already accepted in the evidence, exhibit 1 and 2 from the respondent, the county's report, backup materials, and, Mr. Jan's will be, county's exhibit B. I will make the following findings of fact and conclusions of law. I will make a finding that there is no, based on the testimony and evidence, that there is no violation on the property for junk and litter under 7.02.01, so there will not be a finding in that regard. However, I will make a finding, because while I agree with Mr. Burgess to some extent that illicit discharge generally looks towards things that are, you know, obviously bad, I do see this, you know, garbage juice as bad. And I think it's, you know, there's evidence of that based on Mr. Jan's testimony. I know none of us here, you know, are going to make too convincing of an argument that garbage juice is somehow okay for the environment. But I will find that the Seaside community has, you know, to their credit, stepped up and done a lot to try to mitigate this. I will provide the 12 weeks needed to bring the property into compliance, with the caveat that the Seaside community must employ some sort of alternative methods to reduce the discharge during this time period. And if we find out that they're not doing that or employing those, then I will rehear the matter, and I can go ahead and look to impose fines immediately if that's not being done. But I do want to give you guys the opportunity, because I don't think, you know, unlike other people, that you're turning a blind eye to this and just acting as though there's no issue. So I do appreciate that. And should the property not be brought into compliance within 12 weeks, what, Madam Clerk, when? December 8th? Okay, we'll give them till December 9th, unless is that like a weekend? Okay, so we'll say December 9th to bring the property in compliance. Gentlemen, do you think that would be enough time? Are we pretty confident with waste management?
Yes, sir, I believe so.
Okay. Obviously, if there's some sort of delay, I would just suggest you get with county and let them know, and, you know, we can. And then, in the event the property is not brought into compliance, the illicit discharge is not resolved, there will be a $100 per day fine until it is brought into compliance. There is also an administrative fee of $98 that will be imposed. As requested by staff. And I'm signing the order now. Thank you, gentlemen, for showing up.
Thank you.
Good luck with getting this garbage use under control.
Thank you.
Catchphrase, hashtag garbage juice.
Technical term.
Junk, garbage. Hey, I'm going to go ahead and give these to you now before I walk off with them.
You got a second?
All right, next case, getting closer to the end. This is the estate of Stephen Friedenberg, 363 Mallet Road in Freeport, Florida. Is anybody here for the estate of Steve Friedenberg? See anybody jumping up? Somebody left some stuff back there? Is that y'all's stuff? Miss Knudsen? Whenever you're ready, go ahead.
All right, I'm Code Compliance Officer Nicole Knudsen again for the record. I am submitting my final summary report, presentation, and testimony in reference to case number CE-21-50109. This property is in an unincorporated area of Walton County and subject to Land Development Code, Chapter 7. The property address is 363 Mallet Road, Freeport, Florida, 32439. The property owner is the estate of Steve Friedenberg, and the violations cited are 1.13.09C V1 building permits. Slide 2 is the code language. Inspection of the property shows a building that appears to have been remodeled on the property. It appears to have a new window and house wrap on it, as noted in the picture. I posted a notice of violation on the property on 5/5/21, outlining the violation and what corrections were needed, and gave them 10 days to correct the violation. The property owner did not bring the property into compliance within the allotted time. Several attempts were made to contact the deceased property owner's family. A notice of hearing was posted on the property on 8/14/2021. Proper notice was given as prescribed by code. As of the last inspection on 9/11/2021, this property remains in non-compliance. I ask that the board magistrate find that this property is in violation. Picture shows the building is still up.
Based on what you see now, is there any active construction going on or remodeling?
No, when I was out there on Saturday, the 11th, I did meet with a gentleman that has stayed at the property. He said he did see the notice of hearing, and he said it wouldn't be possible to get a building permit, so he has actually started to tear down the building.
Okay.
He was removing the windows and said the next portion would be the roof.
Do you remember that gentleman's name, or did he give it to you, or no? I mean, I guess, is he the heir?
He's not. There's several people that come and go from the property. There's not an actual owner out there, and every time I've tried to ask who gave permission to be at the property, nobody can give me a straight answer.
Okay. I don't see anybody in the room. What's the county's recommendation on this?
30 days to bring the property into compliance, or a $100 per day fine, as well as the administrative cost of $91.
All right, thank you, Ms. Knudsen.
I'm gonna get it. I have faith in you.
I promise you I will not get it. I know myself, and I'm pretty confident I will.
It's not a common name for the area, so I don't blame you.
All right, I'll go ahead and close the evidence portion of this hearing. I'll take into evidence the report, backup materials, photographs presented by the county. Based on the testimony and evidence, I'll make the following findings of fact and conclusions of law. I'll make the finding that the property at 363 Mallet Road in Freeport, Florida is in the unincorporated area of Walton County, Florida, and is subject to the Walton County Land Development Code. Based on the evidence presented, I find that there is a violation at the property under 1.13.09, at the CV1, and because of that violation, what do we have? The 30 days. What's 20 seconds? Property must be brought into compliance on or before October 22nd. Should the property not be brought into compliance on or before that time, $100 per day fine shall be imposed, and an administrative cost of $91 shall also be imposed. in that order. The next one is case number 21-50252. Property owner is listed as Kenny Lewis, and the property is 1160 Girl Scout Road in Defuniak Springs. I don't see anybody here. Anybody for Mr. Lewis? This one here is as well. Whenever you're ready.
All right. Once again, Code Compliance Officer Nicole Knudsen. For the record, I am submitting my final summary report, presentation, and testimony in reference to case number CE-21-50252. This property is in an unincorporated area of Walton County and subject to Land Development Code, Chapter 7. The property address is 1160 Girl Scout Road, Defuniak Springs, Florida, 32433. The property owner is Kenny Lewis, and the violations cited are 5.07.09, exterior storage of non-operating vehicles, junk and debris, and 1.13.06, post-permit changes. Second slide, code language is shown. Inspection of the property shows an RV on the property. There were several pallets stacked up to the left of the property. Behind the RV were more pallets, as noted in the slide, as well as on the right side of the property. Near the roadway was a large pile of yard debris, including tree limbs and a large pallet, in the bottom right. I made contact with the property owner and identified the violations and what was needed to bring the property into compliance. I issued a notice of violation to the property owner on 6/4/2021 outlining the violations and gave them 10 days to correct the violation. The property owner did not bring the property into compliance within the allotted time. A notice of hearing was sent to the property owner via certified mail on 8/27/2021. Proper notice was given as prescribed by code. I'd like to note the other thing with the post-permit changes, that's for a septic tank permit. There is documentation in the back of the packet. As of the last inspection on 9/11/2021, this property remains in non-compliance. However, the junk and debris have been removed from the property, as you can see. As of 9/15/2021, the property was brought into compliance, as is evident with the septic permit that I've included in the packet. He contacted me earlier today to provide that to me.
Okay, yeah, I see that. All right, so, the debris's been removed. And then now we have evidence that so what's the county looking for in this case?
Just for the administrative cost of $91.
So the I don't have a box here to necessarily check, other than I can find that the violations did exist at the subject property but have been remedied. Not issue a fine, but then I guess I can check the box for administrative costs. Yeah, it's that. You got it. I was just saying I checked 2 boxes. That's fine. Correct. Yes, ma'am. Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am. I'll close the evidence portion of the hearing. I'll accept in the evidence the staff report, presentation of photographs, and other backup materials. Based on the testimony and evidence and at the request of county staff, I will make a finding that violations did exist at the subject property but have been remedied as of the date of this hearing, and will not impose a fine in this matter. However, However, I will find that $91 in administrative costs shall be imposed as part of bringing this matter to this point, and I will find this order. All right, we have next up case number 21-00508, Joseph Dieter. I don't see anybody here. So whenever you're ready, sir.
My name is Adam Sigler, Code Compliance Officer. For the record, I was submitting my final summary report, presentation, and testimony in reference to case 21-000508. This property is in an unincorporated area of Walton County and subject to Land Development Code. The property parcel is 27-2S-20-33-500-0000140. The property owner is Joseph Dieter, and the violation site was 1.1309C1 building permits. Second slide. This is the violation language. Reference building permits. Slide 3 shows the initial inspection of the property on April 7th, 2021. Showed 2 Connex boxes on the property without a building permit. Slide 4, the final inspection of the property on 9/11/2021 showed 2 Connex boxes on the property, again without a building permit. Made contact with the property owner, identified the violations, and explained what needed to be done to bring the property into compliance. A notice of violation was posted on April 10th, 2021 to outline the violations and what corrective actions were needed. The property owner had until June 17th, 2021 to correct the violations. The property owner did not bring the property into compliance within the allotted time. A notice of hearing was sent certified mail and posted to the property. Proper notice was given as prescribed by code. As of the last inspection on September 11th, 2021, the property has not been brought in compliance. I ask that the magistrate find that this property is in violation.
This was part of what you gave me, but this is to a different case. For 2157. No, that's fine. So this is for the next case on Mr. Thompson. Did you have a final report for the Dieter? Yeah, you just gave me the one for the next one. That's all. No, that's fine. Well, go ahead and tell me what the county's looking for, and I would need to have that printout so it can be part of the record.
Yes, sir, and I again apologize for that. What we're looking for is for the respondent to give 30 days to bring the property in compliance, or $100 per day fine to begin, as well as the administrative cost, $98.
So, when was your last conversation with the?
Actually, it was today. I haven't heard from him in probably 3 months, and he called today.
And I know you guys have access. Has there been a application for a permit put in or anything? Or I mean, what's his?
He is attempting to get a building permit for this parcel, which is half an acre. And he's not gonna be able to do it as far as planning department. They're not gonna issue septic and water and everything. It's on an unimproved road, not maintained by the county. But to answer your question, he's attempting to get a building permit.
Okay, so he's trying.
Right.
We're thinking it may not be that successful for him, but.
Right.
Okay. All right, I'll close the, evidence portion of this hearing at this time. I'll accept the, what I do have, which is your, slideshow. I don't have your final report, but if you will get that to me.
I will.
We'll enter that into evidence as well. Based on the testimony and evidence, I'll make the following findings of fact, conclusion of law, and order. I'll find that the property is located in an unincorporated area of Walton County, Florida, that the property in question is in violation of Land Development Code 1.13.09 for failing to obtain a building permit. Based on the recommendation of the county, I will order that the property be brought into compliance on or before October 22nd. Should the property not be brought into compliance on or before October 22nd, that a $100 per day fine shall be imposed. I will also impose a $98 administrative fee. Oh, you found it? Great. All right, so we'll accept that into evidence. All right. Thank you, sir. And that wraps up the Dieter case. Now we're going on to William Thompson, case number 21002157. I don't see anybody here for Mr. Thompson. So, Mr. Siegler, whenever you're ready. I've got that one. Yeah, that's the one you gave me one. There we go. Whenever you're ready.
Yes, sir. For the record, my name is Adam Sigler, Co-Compliance Officer. For the record, I'm submitting my final summary report, presentation, and testimony in reference to case 21-002157. This property is in an unincorporated area of Walton County and subject to Land Development Code, Chapter 5. The property address is 186 Stillwater Road, Freeport, Florida, 32439. The property owner is William Thompson. The violation site is 5.07.09C. Second side cites the violation. Slide 3. Inspection of the property showed junk and debris throughout the property. Slide 4 was the final inspection on September 11th, 2021, showing the junk and debris still on the property. Made contact with the property owner and identified the violations and what was needed to bring the property into compliance. I issued a notice of violation to the property on March 4th, 2021, outlining the violations and what corrections were needed, and gave them 10 days to correct the violation. The property owner did not bring the property into compliance within the allotted time. A notice of hearing was issued to the property owner. Proper notice was given as prescribed, prescribed by law. Code. As of the last inspection on September 11th, 2021, this property remains in noncompliance I ask that the magistrate find that this property is in violation.
So, everything that we see in the photograph, the travel trailer, all the other debris and junk, is anybody living in that trailer?
No, sir. The owner does not live on the property. He is an
Okay.
elderly man with medical issues. I actually spoke to him Saturday. He couldn't come today because his transmission went out on his vehicle.
Okay. What's your recommendation?
I recommend the respondent has 30 days to bring property in compliance, then a $100 per day fine begin, as well as an administrative fee of $98 for costs of that are associated with the case.
Does the owner, Mr. Thompson, I mean, is he actively trying to do anything as far as the property?
Yes, sir. He's trying to. He's on a fixed income. He has moved some items off the property. The conversation we had before Saturday, he was trying to get his neighbor to buy the property. As far as that's where we're at.
All right. Thank you, sir. At this time, I'll close the evidence portion, accepting the evidence, the presentation and the final report presented by the county. I will make the following findings of fact and conclusions of law. I'll make the finding that the property, which is lot 46, Magnolia Bay, parcel number as identified in the order, is in the unincorporated area of Walton County, Florida, and subject to the Land Development Code. That the evidence and testimony presented shows that there is a violation of 5.07.09 subsection C of the county code, exterior storage of non-operating vehicles, junk, or debris. I will require that the property be brought into compliance on or before October the 22nd, which is 30 days. Should the property not be brought into compliance, that a $100 per day fine shall be imposed, and that an administrative fee of $98 is also imposed in this case. All right, I'll sign that order. All right, now looks like the last one, yay. State of William Bowles. Mr. Siegler, whenever you're ready to begin, go ahead.
Yes, sir. For the record, my name is Adam Sigler, Code Compliance Officer. For the record, I'm submitting my final summary report, presentation, and testimony in reference to case 21-001990. This property is in an unincorporated area of Walton County and subject to Land Development Code, Chapter 5 and Chapter 7. The property address is 549 Royal Palm Avenue, Defuniak Springs, Florida, 32433. The property owner is the estate of William A. Bowles. And the violations cited are 5.0709C and 7.02.03A. Slide 2 shows the violation cited. Slide 3 shows a dilapidated structure. Slide 4 shows the dilapidated structure as of the final inspection on today's date. I was not able to make contact with the property owner or any family members. I posted a notice of violation to the property on March 11th, 2021, outlining the violations and what corrective actions were needed, and gave 10 days to correct the violations. The property was not brought into compliance within the allotted time. A notice of hearing was posted to the property. Proper notice was given as prescribed by code. As of the last inspection on September 15th, 2021, this property remains in noncompliance. I ask that the magistrate find that this property is in violation.
All right. It's like you noted in your report, Property taxes haven't been paid since 2014.
From my research, Your Magistrate, the subject deceased in 2012. It looked like a family member was paying the taxes for maybe 2 more years, and there's no record of the taxes being paid.
Has
No
there been
family
no-
members can be located.
There been no tax certificates issued or tax deeds issued? You would think somebody would have picked this up by now and gone through that process. Kind of surprising. Okay. And let me see. I know you normally put in here your recommendation. You might have told me. I know you put it in here. How long did you want, and what's the?
To get their respondent 30 days to bring property in compliance, then $100 fine per day, administrative fee of $91 for costs associated with this case.
All right, at this time, I'll go ahead and close the evidence portion of this hearing, accepting the evidence, the presentation, and the final report presented. Based on the testimony and evidence presented, I'll make the following findings, fact, and conclusions of law. Find that the property identified as Lot 30 and 31, Block 1, Oakwood Hills, Unit 1, with a parcel ID of 16-3N20-28-060-001-0300 is in the unincorporated area of Walton County, Florida, subject to the Walton County Land Development Code, that based on the evidence presented and testimony provided, that there are 2 violations on the property, 7.02.03A and 5.07.09C, that the property must be brought into compliance on or before October 22nd. Should the property not be brought into compliance by that date, $100 per day fine shall be imposed on the property, and that a administrative fee of $91 is also imposed at this time, and I am signing this order now. And with that, unless there's any further business, we are adjourned.